You already failed the first test, and you don't even know it yet. I've pulled bodies from flooded attics in New Orleans. I've watched entire neighborhoods collapse into chaos within 48 hours. Not in a war zone, in America. In cities full of smart, capable people who simply never learned the one thing schools forgot to teach. Here's the brutal truth. Your city is exactly 3 days away from complete breakdown. FEMA confirmed it. 3 days without water, power, or supply chains, and civilization starts unraveling fast. Most people think survival is about stockpiling cans and buying a flashlight. It's not. It never was. The people who survive aren't the strongest. They're not the richest. They're the ones who trained their minds and hands before the sirens started. I spent 20 years in situations where the wrong decision meant a body bag. Military deployments. Disaster zones. Infrastructure collapses you never heard about on the news. What I learned changed everything I thought I knew about survival. These 10 skills. Nobody teaches them in cities. Most people reading this right now are missing every single one. Let's fix that. Before you actually need them. Skill 10. Find and filter clean water. Water doesn't kill you. Waiting kills you. I watched a 68-year-old woman in Baton Rouge drink from a flooded tap on day 4. She thought boiling fixed everything. It didn't. She was hospitalized within 36 hours. Here's what most people get wrong. They stockpile bottled water. Smart idea. Wrong execution. A case of 24 bottles holds roughly 3 gallons. The human body needs minimum 1 gallon per day just to function. That case lasts you 3 days. 3 days is exactly when things get worse, not better. Nobody thinks about the water heater sitting in their garage. You do now. A standard residential water heater holds 40 to 50 gallons of clean, drinkable water. Already in your house. Already paid for. Completely forgotten by 99% of people in a crisis. Grab a clean hose. Find the drain valve at the bottom. Open it slowly. That's your emergency reservoir, right there in your utility room. But here's the deeper problem. Even clean stored water grows bacteria after 6 months. Use 2 drops of unscented household bleach per gallon to preserve it safely. That small brown bottle under your sink. It just became one of your most valuable possessions. Don't buy fancy filtration systems advertised on survival YouTube channels. Go to Walmart, Easel 14, Water Filtration Section. A LifeStraw personal filter removes 99.999% of bacteria and costs under $20. Weighs 2 ounces, fits in a kitchen drawer. While your neighbors are fighting over the last case of Dasani at Kroger, you're already 3 weeks ahead. Water is solved. But water without shelter means your body temperature drops dangerously fast. That's what we're fixing next. Skill 9. Build emergency shelter. Your house is your shelter, until it isn't. A 3-day ice storm. A week-long power outage. A gas leak that forces you out at 2 a.m. in 2021. Winter Storm Uri knocked out power for 4.5 million Texas homes. Many for over 2 weeks. Dozens of elderly residents froze to death. Inside their own houses, here's what most people do wrong. They assume the house stays warm by itself. It doesn't. A standard American home loses half its interior heat within 8 hours of losing power in freezing temperatures. Nobody picks one room and defends it. You do now. Close off every room except one, the smallest interior room in your house. No exterior walls if possible. A 10 by 10 room retains body heat 4 times more efficiently than an open floor plan. Hang heavy blankets over doorways. Seal the gap under the door with a rolled towel. Go to Walmart, camping section. An emergency Mylar thermal blanket costs $2.50 and reflects 90% of your body heat back to you. Buy 10. Stack them. They fold to the size of a playing card. Don't sleep on the floor. Floor contact drains body heat 25 times faster than still air. Push a couch to the center of your sealed room. Layer blankets underneath you, not just on top. Here's the detail most people miss. A single lit candle inside a sealed small room can raise the temperature by 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Place it safely in a deep ceramic bowl. Never leave it unattended. That one candle buys you hours. While your neighbors are calling relatives 3 states away, you're warm, safe, and already thinking 2 steps ahead. Shelter holds your body temperature. But your body still needs fuel to run. What you eat, and when, determines how long you last. That's next. Skill 8. Start fire without a lighter. Fire isn't about warmth. Fire is about buying time. I've seen people survive 3 extra days simply because they kept a fire going. Not heroes. not trained soldiers. Retired schoolteachers. A 71-year-old man in rural Kentucky who lost power for 11 days straight after an ice storm. Fire kept him alive. Here's what most people do wrong. They keep one lighter in the junk drawer. One lighter. Lighters fail below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, exactly the temperature when you need them most. Nobody keeps 3 different fire-starting methods ready. You do now. Method 1. Waterproof matches. Not regular matches. Waterproof matches stay functional after being submerged in water for 8 hours. UCO brand. Hardware store. Under $5. Keep 1 box in your emergency kit, 1 in your car, 1 in your bathroom cabinet. Method 2. Ferrocerium rod. Looks like a small metal stick. A single ferrocerium rod produces over 5,500 strikes before wearing out, enough to last a decade of emergencies. Strike it against a steel knife at a 45-degree angle. Sparks hit 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing stops them. Not rain, not wind, not cold hands. Method 3. Know your tinder. Dryer lint is one of the most effective fire-starting materials on the planet. Completely free. Already in your house. Stuff a small Ziploc bag full of it right now. That bag could be the difference between warmth and hypothermia. Here's the detail that surprises everyone. Petroleum jelly cotton balls. Made by soaking regular cotton balls in Vaseline, burn for up to 4 minutes each. 4 minutes of sustained flame from something smaller than a grape. Make 20 of them tonight. Store in an old pill bottle, while your neighbors are frantically clicking dead lighters. Your fire is already burning. Fire handles warmth and cooking. But fire can't tell you where you are or where you're going. Navigation is next. And it's simpler than you think. Skill 7. Identify wild food sources. Hunger doesn't sneak up on you. It shuts your brain down first. After 48 hours without food, decision-making degrades significantly. Military research shows cognitive performance drops by up to 40% after just 2 days without calories. You don't feel stupid. You just start making quietly terrible decisions. That's the danger nobody talks about. Here's what most people do wrong. They stockpile chips, crackers, and sugary snacks. Fast energy. Fast crash. Simple carbohydrates spike blood sugar, then drop it hard, creating mental fog exactly when clarity matters most. Nobody thinks about calorie density per dollar. You do now. Go to Costco. Bulk food section. A 50-pound bag of white rice contains roughly 80,000 calories. Enough to feed 1 person for 110 days at a minimum survival intake. Costs under $25. Stores for 25 to 30 years in a sealed bucket. That's not a food supply. That's an insurance policy. Pair it with dried pinto beans. Rice and beans together form a complete protein, containing all 9 essential amino acids the human body cannot produce on its own. Ancient armies marched on this combination for centuries. It works. It still works. Here's the detail most people overlook. Honey never expires. Archaeologists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs, still perfectly edible. 1 large jar of raw honey at your local farmer's market costs $15. Provides instant energy, natural antibacterial properties, and indefinite shelf life, for elderly adults especially. A daily multivitamin becomes critical after 72 hours of restricted diet. Not optional. Micronutrient deficiency accelerates confusion and fatigue faster than calories alone, while your neighbors are rationing stale crackers on day 5. Your nutrition is stable, your mind is sharp, and you're still making good decisions. Food keeps you thinking. But a foggy mind reading the wrong weather sign can undo everything. Reading nature's signals is next. Kill 6. Read natural weather. Your phone's weather app just went dark. Now what? The National Weather Service estimates that 40% of weather-related deaths occur because people had no warning, or ignored the warning they had. Most ignored warnings came from screens. Screens that needed power. Power that was already gone. Here's what most people do wrong. They outsource weather awareness entirely to technology. No signal, no awareness. That's a dangerous dependency for anyone living alone. Nobody reads the sky anymore. You do now. Watch the clouds. Cumulonimbus clouds. The tall, anvil-shaped ones can rise to 60,000 feet and generate winds exceeding 100 miles per hour within 20 minutes of formation. If you see that anvil shape building on the horizon, you have one job. Get inside. Now smell the air. This sounds strange. It works. Before a significant rainstorm, the scent of ozone, clean, sharp, faintly electric, travels ahead of the storm front by up to 15 miles. Your nose is detecting lightning before your eyes see clouds. That's a 15-mile early warning system you were born with. Watch animals. Birds stop singing approximately 30 minutes before a severe storm arrives. Not because they're scared, because barometric pressure drops and affects their inner ear. When your backyard goes suddenly quiet, that's your signal. Here's the detail that matters most for elderly adults living alone. A barometric pressure drop of 0.18 inches of mercury or more within 3 hours reliably predicts incoming severe weather. A basic analog barometer costs $25 at any hardware store. Hang it in your kitchen. Check it every morning. No batteries, no signal, no failure. While your neighbors are refreshing a weather app that won't load, you already moved your patio furniture inside an hour ago. You can read the weather now. But what happens when your body becomes the emergency? Basic medical response is next, and it could be the most important skill on this entire list. Skill 5. Navigate without GPS. You're not lost. Your phone is lost. There's a difference. During Hurricane Katrina, thousands of evacuees drove in circles for hours. Not because roads were blocked, but because GPS satellites were overwhelmed and cell towers were down. Healthy adults. Functioning cars. Zero directional awareness without a signal. Here's what most people do wrong. They've never once looked at a physical map of their own county. Not once. Nobody keeps a paper map in their glove compartment anymore. You do now. Go to your county government website. Download and print the county road map. Free. The average American suburb has 3 to 4 alternate evacuation routes. Most residents have never driven. Know 2 of them before you need any of them. Learn one sun navigation rule. 1. The sun rises within 25 degrees of true east and sets within 25 degrees of true west. Every single day, everywhere on Earth. Morning sun on your left shoulder means you're heading roughly north. That's enough to keep you oriented on any road. Here's the detail that changes everything for older adults. A basic AAA triptych physical road atlas costs $12 and covers every major road in the United States. It doesn't need charging. It doesn't lose signal. It never freezes. Toss one in your car trunk today and forget about it until the day it becomes the most important thing in that trunk. Mark 3 locations in pencil inside the front cover. Your home, your nearest hospital, your closest family member's address. In a cognitive stress event, which any emergency creates, having pre-written reference points reduces decision fatigue by eliminating the most dangerous question, where was I going again? While your neighbors idle at a dead intersection waiting for GPS to reconnect. You're already 3 miles down the right road. Navigation gets you where you're going. But once you arrive, or once someone in your house has a medical emergency, your hands need to know what to do. That's next. Skill 4. Basic first aid in field medicine. 911 is not a survival plan. It's a preference. During Winter Storm Uri in 2021, some Texas counties reported 911 response times exceeding 4 hours. Not because dispatchers didn't care, because the system was overwhelmed. In a grid-down scenario, that window stretches longer. Much longer. Here's what most people do wrong. They own a first aid kit with expired supplies they've never opened. A box of Band-Aids and false confidence. Nobody audits their medicine cabinet before a crisis. You do now. Open your medicine cabinet today. Check every prescription. The average elderly American takes 4 to 5 prescription medications daily, and most have fewer than 14 days of backup supply at any given time. Call your doctor now. Request a 90-day supply. Most insurance covers it. Most people never ask. Here's what matters most. Uncontrolled bleeding kills faster than almost any other emergency, within 3 to 5 minutes in severe cases. Go to any pharmacy. Buy one tourniquet. Cat brand. $30. Learn to apply it on yourself with one hand. Watch one YouTube video. Practice once. That's enough. Learn the 3-finger blood pressure check. Place 2 fingers on the inside of your wrist. If you can feel a pulse there, your systolic blood pressure is at least 80. Enough to maintain basic brain perfusion. No cuff needed. No electricity needed. Your fingers just became a diagnostic tool. Here's the detail that saves lives in slow collapse scenarios. Infection, not the original injury, causes the majority of disaster-related deaths in the first 2 weeks. Neosporin, gauze, medical tape, nitrile gloves, a bottle of saline solution for wound irrigation. Total cost under $40. Clean a wound aggressively on day 1. You won't regret it. Ignoring it on day 3, you will. while your neighbors are waiting for an ambulance that's 3 hours away. You've already stopped the bleeding and stabilized the situation. You can handle a medical crisis now. But the longest battles aren't physical. The war inside your head, that's the one most people lose first. That's what we're tackling next. Skill 3. Craft and repair basic tools. Your tools don't fail in a crisis. You fail when you have no tools. After Hurricane Andrew in 1992, FEMA documented that households with basic hand tools recovered an average of 11 days faster than those without. Not because they were stronger, because they could act instead of wait. Here's what most people do wrong. Every tool they own needs a battery or a power outlet. Drill, saw, everything electric. When the power dies, they become helpless. Nobody maintains a manual backup toolkit. You do now. Go to Harbor Freight, not Home Depot. Harbor Freight. A complete 130-piece hand tool set. Screwdrivers, pliers, wrenches, hammer. Costs under $35. No batteries, no charging, no failure. Tuck it in a waterproof bin in your garage today. Learn one knot, just one. The bowline knot, used by sailors, climbers, and rescue teams for over 500 years, creates a fixed loop that won't slip under load and unties easily after stress. It takes 4 minutes to learn. Search bowline knot on YouTube tonight. Practice while watching television. Here's the detail that matters most in a long power outage. A manual can opener costs $8 and weighs 4 ounces. That's it. That's the entire insight. But roughly 65% of American households own an electric can opener as their only option. Check your drawer right now. If you don't have a manual one, add it to your list today. For elderly adults specifically, a good multi-tool, Leatherman or Gerber brand, consolidates 12 to 14 functions into one 4-inch device that fits in a kitchen drawer. Bottle opener, knife, screwdriver, file, wire cutter. One purchase, one location. No searching through 3 drawers when your hands are shaking, while your neighbors stare at a stuck door or a broken window in the dark. You already fixed it an hour ago. Your hands are ready now. Your shelter is secure. But the most dangerous failure in any long emergency isn't physical, it's mental. That's the final skill, and it's the one that ties everything else together. Skill 2. Send emergency signals. Rescue doesn't find you. Rescue finds your signal. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the Coast Guard rescued over 33,000 people in 10 days. The largest peacetime search and rescue operation in American history. Nearly every successful rescue had one thing in common. The survivor made themselves visible. The ones who waited quietly inside, many were found too late. Here's what most people do wrong. They assume someone will come looking. Eventually, someone will. But eventually can mean 96 hours. In a medical situation, 96 hours is not eventually. It's too late. Nobody prepares a signal plan before they need one. You do now. A simple emergency whistle produces 100 to 120 decibels, louder than a chainsaw, and carries over half a mile in open air. 3 short blasts. Pause. 3 short blasts. That's the universal distress signal, recognized by every rescue team in North America. A Fox 40 whistle costs $5. Hang one by your front door today for daytime signaling. Go to any outdoor store. A signal mirror, a small 2x3-inch reflective panel, can flash visible light to aircraft and rescue teams up to 10 miles away on a clear day. Cost $8. Weighs less than a credit card. Works with no batteries, no signal, no power. Here's the detail most people miss entirely. A brightly colored tarp or bedsheet placed flat on your roof or in your front yard is one of the most effective rescue signals available. Search and rescue pilots are trained to spot unnatural colors against natural backgrounds. International orange, hot pink, bright yellow. Not your beige welcome mat. Something that screams, someone is here. For elderly adults living alone, the most overlooked signal to device is a $25 NOAA weather radio with a battery backup and 2-way alert function. It receives emergency broadcasts when all other communication fails. And in some models, it transmits your location to local emergency services. While your neighbors wait silently behind closed blinds, your signal is already visible from the air. You know how to be found now. But the final skill, the one that determines whether every other skill on this list actually works, lives entirely inside your head. And it's the hardest one to train. Skill 1. Mental control under pressure. The body fails last. The mind fails first. I've seen physically healthy people make fatal decisions on day 3 of a crisis, not because they were weak, Because nobody ever taught them what panic actually does to the brain. Under acute stress, the human brain releases cortisol and adrenaline that physically narrow the prefrontal cortex's decision-making capacity by up to 70%. You don't lose your mind, you lose access to most of it. The part that makes careful, long-term decisions goes quiet. The part that reacts and overreacts takes over. Here's what most people do wrong. They treat mental preparation as optional, something for soldiers and athletes, not for a 74-year-old in a suburb without power. Nobody practices staying calm before they need to. You do now. Learn one breathing technique, just one. The 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8, activates the parasympathetic nervous system within 90 seconds. Used by Navy SEALs, used by cardiac nurses, works for anyone with lungs. Practice it tonight before sleep, not in a crisis. Now, write your emergency plan on paper, not in your phone. Paper. A laminated one-page document with your medications, doctor's name, emergency contacts, and 3 decisions already made. Stay or go, who to call first. Where the important documents are. Reduces cognitive load during a stress event by removing the need to remember anything under pressure. Here's the detail that matters most for older adults living alone. Social isolation during an extended emergency is a clinical risk factor for accelerated cognitive decline. Check in with one neighbor. Establish a simple signal system. A porch light on by 8 a.m. means you're okay. Off means check on me. That 5-second agreement could save your life. And it costs nothing. Don't stockpile anxiety. Stockpile decisions. The people who survive longest aren't the most prepared physically. They're the most decided mentally. They already know what they'll do. So when the moment comes, they don't think. They act. Nobody makes their decisions before the crisis hits. You just did. Most people wait for a crisis before they start thinking about survival. By then, it's already too late. The people who make it through are the ones who prepared ahead of time. So tell me in the comments, which skill hit you the hardest, and what should we cover next? Food, medications, nibors, or mindset? Subscribe, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.